I cussed at myself a lot that morning. And then I didn't catch my first fish until about 8:40, and that was the big fish of the tournament.
Welcome to the Kayak Bass Connection podcast. I'm your host, Jared. What do you do when the bite dies? The best rises to the top. I know that. We're going to talk about a tournament today that was probably one of the toughest that I've personally experienced. With my guests today are the ones that figured things out. So let's see what they have to say. There's definitely some lessons to be learned. This was just a brutal tournament for a lot of folks. So I want to welcome my anglers to this podcast. Walking away with first place again. Dalton Williams, our current Angler of the Year and defending Angler of the Year. Dalton, you also walked away with a Big Bass Award for this one at 19.75 inches. So you got a nice paycheck to go home on last Saturday, didn't you?
Oh yeah, it was a nice paycheck.
That was great. Yeah, and also I want to welcome second place finisher Nathan Bartow. Are you from Staunton, Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, outstanding. He had 77.75 inches. Just about 3 1/4 inches behind Dalton. There's an unusually large gap between first and second. Just to give you an idea how a dominating performance Dalton had. Third place, the guy who's just not used to being in third place, Darren Hemker, former Angler of the Year, usually up there in the top 1 or 2, with 77 inches out of Germantown. Welcome back again, Darren.
Oh, thanks for having me again.
Hey, I can't seem to get you kicked off here. You just keep showing up in the top 3.
Yeah, I got a residency here, evidently.
Yeah, no kidding. So this was an incredibly interesting tournament. You know, I've done, this is like the 36th, I think, episode of the podcast. Probably 28, 29 of those have been just looking at tournaments and analysis of tournaments at the end. And I'll be honest with you, I was looking forward to this interview probably more than like the Crossroads interviews, all those other things where people catching fish left and right, because I experienced this one. Let's kind of look at some of the stats. This kind of tells the tale here. So if you finish below 5th in this tournament, there's 45 anglers. 5th through 10th didn't even have 5 fish. Okay, just get an idea. So only 45 anglers caught only 83 fish. 91% of the anglers in this tournament did not catch 5 fish. So you guys plus 1 are the only people that caught your 5 in this tournament. Why do you think it's so tough there, guys?
I think the weather and the water. So much rain lately.
Okay. Now, Staunton's not real far from this lake that we're talking about. Of course, we were talking about Otter Lake. Do you get up there very often?
A little bit. Yeah. Few times a year at least.
Okay. Darren, Dalton, what do you guys think? Why do you think it was so tough?
I agree with Nathan with the weather.
So, Dalton, you also think it's the weather, but Darren said what was pre-fishing like?
So I did the same thing as I did tournament day, but pre-fishing I think I had 2 fish over 18. I think my limit was at like 88.5 inches with my best 5 pre-fishing. I had a limit of 17s and then 2 18, 18.5, 18 3/4. It just, tournament day was dead. Like, I talked to everybody and everybody said the same thing. Dead bite. There's like no fish left in the lake hardly is what it felt like.
Well, I'll tell you, about 10 o'clock, I was really questioning my decision-making process. I was ready to sell all my equipment and burn my fishing license. What am I doing here? I'm not getting a bite. I'm not seeing anybody getting a bite. It was just a horrible, horrible morning. Now, we were fishing, so you got to put it in perspective. So it was still a good morning. But I felt so much better it was about 10:30, 11 o'clock. I ran into Susie, who usually does really well. And she was very upset that she hadn't caught anything yet. So I felt a little better about myself.
Poor Susie.
Yeah. And I think that would have been the second tournament, the kayak tournament that was on Otter Lake, because wasn't there a KBL like the week before?
And it was almost the same weather.
Was it? Did any of you fish that?
Yeah, I did.
I didn't look real hard at those stats. Did they also struggle?
There were a few more fish caught, a few more limits.
Okay.
But it was not very good compared to what it should be this time of year.
Okay. Yeah, if you look at the lake, it's got everything it needs. There's tons of forage. I saw a lot of bluegill. And that's the one thing that I did seem to be able to catch that day was a couple bluegill and crappie. But so Dalton, kind of walk us through how your day went. You
Uh,
started out nice and overcast, right?
yeah,
Cold and
it
overcast.
was very stressful that morning. I cussed at myself a lot that morning. And then I didn't catch my first fish until about 8:40. And I'm like, all right, now I got a pattern down, which
Yeah.
was by the docks. And I stayed by the docks all day after that.
So at 8:40, you were feeling a little bit better about things, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I was in a good mood then. I stopped
yeah.
cussing for the day.
Now, how were you attacking the docks with crank?
It
I know you like
was
crankbaits.
it was a crankbait, of course. Then after I threw a crankbait next to the dock, I switched to a Stinko and fished the dock with a Stinko. Then I just kept going down the docks, doing the same pattern.
What about you guys? How did you start putting fish in the boat that morning?
I'd initially thought about going south underneath the road there. And when everybody decided that that's the way they're going, I'm like, I told Joe, I said, Joe, I'm heading north. And made the last minute decision to turn north. And as soon as I took off, I'm like, well, I'm just going to start here at these docks. The one's right by the marina there, the ramp. And I think it was between the first and second or the second and third, I was throwing a square bill and caught my first fish, the 17 and a half, the big one that I had. And I thought, all right, this is it. It's all in the day. And then I didn't catch crap for like 2 hours on that square bill.
Yeah, now I noticed something, Nate, when I was looking at the size of the fish that were brought in, and I looked at the 5 that you measured. According to Attorney X, it says that they were caught. There were 4 of them caught in between 1:13 p.m. and 1:16 p.m. Is that right, or is that something I got that wrong?
No, I don't think that's right. They were
okay. Yeah, because that's what Attorney X says.
That
So
might
I
have
was
been
thinking, man, that's a lot of picture taken quickly.
Yep. That might have been the times when I submitted them into my live well because I stopped and tried to send them all at the same time. The only place I had service was over in this cove we were fishing.
Okay, now that makes more sense. Yeah, it must be the time you load in the live well. I thought maybe they were grabbing that and metadata off your pictures, but
No, I'll have to check and see what the timestamp was because they were all before that. There was one I think that was that little section of rocks right before you get to the underpass coming from the south side of the lake.
Yeah, I think I actually saw you catch that fish. I was going by you, and I noticed that you were taking photos. And frankly, that's the first person I'd seen the entire day take a photograph of a fish. So I was like, well, he's figured something out.
Yeah, I think that was my second biggest one there. Well, not that it was that big. Okay. And I caught it on a Ned rig. I just pulled right next to those rocks and was parallel casting that and going real quick. And I figured with that rain that had just started coming down, and I'm sure everybody and their brother had hit those rocks that morning and that afternoon. But I think that weather change right there where it started raining kind of got them fired up a little bit.
Yeah, when the rain came, that's when, if you're having a bad day, that's when you started having a miserable day at that point. But I did notice it looked like the fish catches you had submitted looked like it had been raining when you took the pictures. So what about you guys? Did the change in the weather have any effect on your success that morning? Darren or Dalton?
Yeah, I told you how my morning went.
Pattern?
I was catching fish all day. I mean, I was tearing them up down south. I just never could find any decent
You're
size.
famous for a chatterbait. Did that have anything to
Not
do
a
with
fish, not a one. To start off, so pre-fishing, me and Dustin, we were pre-fishing kind of together-ish. We were kind of a little ways apart, but we both went to the south side of the lake, had a couple spots we wanted to look at. I'd never looked at the map of this lake until 3 days before the tournament. So I just basically went in blind and just started pre-fishing. And I got down to the south end and I went through... I threw every bait I could think of, and I was like, well, screw it. I'm going to throw a Nico rig because that always catches fish. And I started throwing a Nico rig, and within 10 minutes of throwing the Nico rig, I had 3 fish over 17 inches. So I was pretty happy with that.
Wow.
And then I went around the one cove, and then that one cove, I caught an 18, a 17 and a half, and I went to the other side and caught another 14. And I told Dustin, I said, we need to leave. We need to leave now. We cannot be fishing this area. Yeah. So we went to the other side, and I caught another 18 and 3/4 on the other side, and it was phenomenal. And I was so excited going into the tournament. And we get there tournament morning, and I go to the starting spot, and Dustin and I came up to kind of the starting spot, and he went right or left. I went right, and I hadn't fished right at all, and I went right, and I caught a 13, a 16, and a 14 within the first 35, 40 minutes. And after that, it was dead for about an hour or two. And then after that, I started picking up 12 inchers pretty consistently. I was catching your 12 to 13 inch fish most of the morning there. I had I think Dalton actually called me, and I caught a 15-incher, and then Reese called me, and I caught a 16-incher, and I was so happy with those two fish because that just really helped my score a bunch. And then I right there at the end of the day, I caught a ton of fish between 14 or 12 and 14 inches. I think I probably overall had probably close to 20 keepers total, but they were all that 12 to 14 inch range, and I can't do anything with that. And everybody was saying they weren't catching limits. I figured we'd have a bunch of people around that 72-inch mark based off how my day went, but I was obviously mistaken there. I was using the little Nico rig though, a little 4-inch worm with I used motor oil with chartreuse tip, and I switched 7-inch black Nico worm too, trick worm. And those both are very consistent baits for me. I catch a lot of fish on them with the fishing stuff.
That's always amazing to me that you can, that water, especially on that north end, was just like chocolate milk.
Should have went south. It was pretty clear down south.
I was gonna go south, then I saw the people going down south. I'm like, nope, heading north. Regretted my life going north. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going south now. Headed that way. Then where Nathan caught that 17, that's where I cut that 19 3/4. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna keep going south and hit all those docks on the south end.
Yeah, I burned up almost like 92% of my battery. I went north, and then I turned and went south. I went all the way to the dam. About an hour left in the tournament, I just said, I give up. I'm striper fishing because I saw a bunch of stripers on the graph, and they weren't interested either in what I was throwing out. So
the pedal down there for me and Dustin. We left the boat ramp at 6 like everybody, and I didn't make a cast until 6:40. Dalton called Dustin and was like, "This place sucks. I'm not catching anything." And Dustin's like, "We haven't even made a cast yet. we haven't even got to our spot yet."
You're still pedaling.
Yeah, we're still just pedaling away.
Yeah, it worked out for you though. So
yeah, it was worth it.
So in a situation like that, now you guys. You're in a pedal drive, right? Dalton, aren't you in pedal drive as well? Okay.
Yeah.
And Nathan, what kind of boat are you in?
Tight necks.
Okay. Do you have a motor on it, or?
No.
Okay. That says something. So you have your top 3 right here, all non-motorized kayaks. Do you think is there any advantage you think to the pedal drives that the guys with motors are missing?
I think sometimes the guys with motors are fishing too fast, and that's one of the things with a kayak that's better than a boat is it causes you to slow down and really fish a spot. Especially if you're paddling or pedaling, you're like, man, I'm going to fish this spot good before I move on. But I'm going to be busting my ass trying to get to the next spot and spend more time with your line in the water. And I think that's a big thing with kayak fishing. Why we do so good is our line is in the water all the time, as opposed to like boat guys they'll fish a spot, hit it hard, then haul ass somewhere else. Fish a spot real hard. They spend almost as much time running around the lake as they do fishing.
I think that's a great observation because I find myself doing that when you can just hit the button and zoom across the cove, even do that without actually working an area hard. It's easy. It's seductive just hitting that button and moving.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in you could probably win any tournament we fish within a mile of the boat dock at any time. There's a limit of big fish there. It's just a matter of getting the right bait in front of them.
Dalton's a prime example.
Yep. Yeah.
Dalton is a perfect example.
Yep. I don't go farther than a mile from the ramp.
Yep. And Dalton, you fished your first couple of years paddling, didn't you?
Yeah, the first year it was a paddle. Then the second year it was a pedal drive. And someone's told me that at the end of the second year, they're like, "You're fishing way too fast." Since I switched to a pedal drive, I'm like, yeah, I can feel myself speeding up since I'm not on a pedal drive.
So since we're talking about equipment real quick, in this particular tournament, did electronics play a part at all?
0.
Nope.
Every fish I caught was within a foot or two of the bank.
Yep. A lot of times when I fish the wacky Senko quite a bit, and when I'm fishing close to the bank like that up shallow, I just turn my electronic on standby, so where it's not emitting any signal, and just run the bank. Because I think those fish are affected a little bit by that signal coming in and out, especially if you're real close to them. And that's another benefit of the kayak is they're quiet. There's no electronics, trolling motor or anything to spook them, especially when you're that close. We're within 10 yards maybe or less, skipping stuff underneath the banks or underneath the trees along the bank.
I think the furthest away I caught a fish that day was maybe 20 feet, 30 feet from my kayak. I was going along the bank and doing the way I cast. I hold the line in one hand and I throw the rod basically. to cast is how I cast a spinning rod. Everybody makes fun of it, but it catches fish, so I keep doing it.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I was literally just going along the bank and just flipping it into the spot. I hardly even had to reel every time I'd hook a fish. I would have to loosen my drag to make sure they didn't break me off because I'd hook them and then they'd dive underneath my boat
Wow.
because it was
Yep.
just so fast. I had my live scope on the whole time. I was just looking for trees and stuff, and I fished a lot of trees and I caught a lot of crappie off trees on a wacky rig or my Nico rig. Damn things were eating the worm like crazy. I caught my big crappie of the day was 12.5 inches.
Wow.
So what kind of weight do you use on your Nico rig? Is that in the plastic itself, or?
Yeah, so I went on actually Venom Lures had them all discounted down pretty low. So I got some tungsten Nico weights. I think it's 330 or not 332nd. That's too heavy. It would have been like 132nd ounce weights, and they're tungsten, so they're really dense and really small. I really like those weights. I went through a lot of them because I caught a ton of fish. I bet all together I probably caught 40 fish total. I caught just tons and tons of small ones. But that you're gonna get that with that Nico rig. That Nico rig is such a easy meal for fish. So even a wacky rig Senko is a pretty big meal if you think about it for a 12-inch fish. That's not a small meal. So a 4-inch trickworm is so skinny and so small. I was catching 8-9-inch crappie on it because it's that nice compact profile and everything wants to eat it.
What kind of hook do you like to use there?
I like a VMC wacky hook. That's my favorite. I tried a Nico hook and I got snagged up too much. And I tried weedless hooks and I didn't like the weedless hooks. I didn't feel like I got good hook sets in the fish. So I started using that VMC, their wacky rig hook, and it's like a size 1, I think is the size I use. It's a pretty small hook and it works really, really well.
So it sounds like Darren and Nate, both of you are basically using soft plastics most of the day. Is that right? You transition from crankbait to soft plastics.
Yes, that's good.
So the water temperature that morning was like, what is this, mid or late? Not mid. It was like 61, 62, most of the places I saw.
Or your warmer than that down south.
Was it? Was your fish post-spawn or pre-spawn? Or?
I think most of my fish were too young to spawn, honestly. I don't think any of them were spawners. I think they were all just babies.
Yeah. Yeah, that big one that I caught, the 17.5, I think its belly was pretty shallow. You can see the picture. So I don't know if it was spawned out. Its tail didn't look like it had been, but it was kind of odd.
Pre-fishing, I caught multiple fish off fry balls.
That 19 3/4, she was still egged up.
Okay.
And then I caught what was it, 18, 17? My second biggest bass. I threw it right next to a cedar tree in the water. It was like 2 feet deep. And I set the hook. It was on a wacky rig. It had me wrapped around the cedar tree. And I'm on the other side fighting the wind while it's on the other side jumping out of the water. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I just kept yanking. I'm like, all right. I mean, if it snaps, it snaps. So I just kept pulling on it. And then finally it came out from the cedars. So, and the tail was red. Oh.
Nice. Yeah.
Something I noticed about that lake. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Darren.
That's terrible.
So something I noticed about that lake is the wind. The wind on that lake was 3 times what my phone said. It was like a 7 or 8 mile an hour wind. It had to be blowing close to 20 because it was ripping down that cut. Coming back up the lake, I was hurting. My legs were hurting, and it was raining. I was thinking to myself, this is dumb. I made the stupidest decision. And I got back and found out nobody caught fish, and I was pretty happy then. That wind, it's weird the way that lake funnels because it's flat all the way around there, and all of a sudden you get to the lake and it just drops down in the hole, which you would think would be protected, but I just felt like it funneled right down the main lake there.
Yeah, it was hard to find protected spots, and then especially when it started raining, you're just
that was so bad.
So if you had to go back and fish that lake again, say tomorrow, there's another tournament at that lake. Do you think what you learned last Saturday at Otter Lake would help you?
I won't show up. That's one thing I learned.
I was about to say the same thing. I don't know if I'd go. I might not sign up for that one.
It was terrible. I almost didn't go to this tournament.
You almost didn't go?
You shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Why?
On Friday, I was sitting there. I'm like, I really don't want to go. But I'm like, Dustin bought that permit for me. So I'm like, I got to go.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have went.
It was hell in the morning. Sure went to
Nate could have got a win. I could have got a second. Well, everybody would have been happier here. Everybody would have been
happy. I'm very happy
You're the
that you got third.
only one that's happy out of this situation.
I'm betting Otter Lake is not going to show up on the schedule again. I'm just got this premonition.
Which is crazy because everybody I talk to says it's a decent lake. They catch 17s,
Mhm.
18s out of there pretty regularly, and I guess we just had back-to-back tough tournaments on it there between KBL and us. KBL won.
Yeah.
First place was like 79 inches. So
Yeah, definitely.
that's tough.
It was a tough one. So
It reminded me
such
a lot of Johnson Creek. Whenever we went to Kincaid at Johnson's Creek, that was brutal. I think Glenn won that day with 4 fish. I got 4th place out of like 26 kayaks with 2 fish. It was a grueling day. Same time of year though. There's some fish that are spawning. Some fish are on fry balls. It's a weird time of year to fish. That early spawn and pre-spawn is easy, and that post spawn can be pretty good. But man, that middle and fish are on beds, and you can't see them, especially. It's a really, really tough time to fish.
Yeah, I heard some guys talking. I think there was a USA Bassing tournament that was before our KBL tournament, and I think they said it took 30 pounds to win, which is
Wow.
I talked to a guy
That's crazy.
I talked to a guy that fished it, and he said that they caught them all on sunken trees up north. I'm like, I fished those where he told me, and I didn't catch a single fish. I'm like, then that's where I'm like, screw this, I'm going south.
So let me ask you this, guys. We were all kind of in agreement it was a pretty rough fishing day overall. Do you learn more when looking back? Do you learn more in those tournaments where it's tough than you do in tournaments where your bag's got 17 to 20-inch fish in it?
I think you learn differently. You learn how to fish it when it's hard. But if you go out there when they're biting like crazy, then you kind of learn the good spots to where if you catch 5 18-inch fish in one spot when it's good, you can go back there when it's rough and maybe catch one. As opposed to if you go fishing like we did and you don't catch crap, it's kind of disheartening and it puts a sour taste in your mouth. You maybe get a negative thought process on that and you just kind of give up on it. So some guys will learn some stuff from that. Some guys won't. They'll just blow it off and say, this is a horrible lake and we don't want to fish it again.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I think it's a lot about thought process, right? Your attitude means everything because every one of you, including myself, has described how the way they looked at this tournament really fluctuated during the day. When you start finally putting fish in the boat, regardless of what size they are, you start thinking, well, man, maybe this is doable.
Mm-hmm. I get frustrated on tough days like that, where like the bite's tough, and I know I'm catching fish, but I cannot find that right size. I feel like I don't learn a damn thing. I learn that I'm too dumb to switch baits and try to figure out bigger fish. I just try to keep catching fish the way I know how. But on good days, I feel like you learn a lot about what you're getting more bites on. So it could be a chatterbait, but it could be the way you reel a chatterbait getting bit differently, or the color of the chatterbait, or the size. I mean, I feel like good days you have a lot more variables to play with to hone in what really works well on that body of water. Versus tough days, I feel like you get more random bites. And I mean, you could catch like Dalton. Dalton's a perfect example here. He caught 1 on a wacky rig or 2 on a wacky rig, couple on a crankbait. I mean, he didn't have a pattern zeroed in. He had somewhat of a here's some fish. Versus we have no idea what the biggest fish in that lake were doing because nobody got on them really good.
Yeah, it's a matter of just adapting and one at a time, right?
Mm-hmm. It only takes top 5 to win.
It takes 5. So Dalton, with that water temperature, when you were throwing a crankbait, were you slowing down your retrieve, or how fast was your retrieve?
It was a slow retrieve, but like the 19 3/4, I was already next to the boat. I would say I was probably 5 feet, and I stopped it because I went to go like put the drive into reverse, and I went to go reel again, and that's when she hit it. So I got lucky on that one. That was pure luck.
How many times have we heard that? When you get distracted, you do something and you get hit.
Yeah.
And then you don't replicate it the rest of the day.
Yep. That one that I got on the square bill was about halfway between me and the bank, 8 feet of water, and it was just right out in the open. I didn't see anything out there that it would have been sitting on, and it probably chased it halfway back to the boat and hit it. And I was doing kind of an erratic stop and go retrieve. And then I fished that hard for 2 hours and didn't catch crap.
I think I caught 10 keepers that day. Most of them were like 2 hours before the tournament ended.
Last 15 minutes was some of the best Nico rig fishing I've ever had. I think I caught probably 7 or 8 keepers in that last 10 or 15 minutes. It was phenomenal.
Well, so there was no like, it's interesting that all 3 of you had different ideas on how to be successful and made it happen. It's not like every winter is like, man, all the thing they were beating was a whack-a-rig Cinco. That was it. That's the only thing that was they were biting. You guys all had different techniques and different places. Anybody else fish the docks? I know that Dalton, you said you stayed on the docks.
I fished them a little bit in another cove, but I didn't have much luck on the docks. But I had luck around on the brush around.
All the keepers I was catching were on like stumps and logs that ran all the way to the bank. So if the stump was up on the bank and then came out into deeper water, I would catch a fish almost every time next to where that log met the bank.
Really?
Where it was a foot, 2 feet of water, there was fish there almost every time. Whether it was a crappie or bluegill or bass, that's different, but there was a fish there almost every time. It was, I mean, very, very, very consistent.
I only caught one crappie the entire tournament.
I think I caught 7. I was tearing them up. Bluegill too. I think I caught like 10 or 15 bluegill, just tearing them up. Shredding them. I guess they're called green-eared sunfish, actually, those were. I hate them things. They're very aggressive. They tear up my Nico rigs.
I noticed part of the lake that, half the lake didn't have much wood in it. And also noticed there wasn't much vegetation.
It does set up like a really, really cool lake, though. Like, I would like to fish that lake whenever the bite's good. Because, there was structure, all the south end anyway. There was rocks you could fish. There was a couple big, like, flat sand flats. There was reeds down there. There was trees. It was everything that makes up a really good lake. I felt like I was on Sandcrest, honestly, but the bite was dead is what it felt like.
Well, you brought up Sandcrest, so let's hit on that a minute. So looking forward in our schedule, June 7th, I believe that is our next tournament. Sandcrest has been really touted as one of the best bass lakes in Illinois here for a couple of different years. So what kind of experience do you guys have in that lake?
A lot.
Yeah.
I caught a lot of big fish on that lake.
Yeah.
I have game plans, but I just don't know which game plan I want to go to yet.
Okay.
We're out of the wrong ramp, though. I like the other ramp better. Yeah, we're heading north.
That's what's throwing my game plan off.
So I like the west launch the best. I think it's my favorite launch over there. But every time I fish the west launch, I get between 4th and 2nd every single time we're there. I've gotten 2nd twice. I've gotten 4th once. And then we go to the north ramp, and I won the last tournament at the north ramp. So I don't like the north ramp as good, but it still fishes good. The fish are everywhere, obviously.
Nate, have you been there much?
Yeah, quite a bit.
Okay, awesome. That's great. Unfortunately, I will not be at that one, but that's the closest tournament to my home. But I won't be able to make that one. So, is there any other specific tournaments you guys are all looking forward to that the rest of this year?
Pyramid.
That's going to be an interesting one.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah, I've never fished down there, so
I hate that place.
Yeah, Banner's better.
I'll say.
If your excitement levels up here, you might want to bring it down a little bit.
I live 40 minutes.
It's kind of a similar situation to Banner, right? It's a strip pit.
Yeah, it's a lot of strip pit lakes. Everything there. There's 1 or 2 that are more like mud hole type lakes, but everything there is just strip pit. So I hate fishing strip pits personally. So I don't like Pyramid. It's 45 minutes from my house, and I'd never go there ever, just because I don't like the place. But I don't know. It'll be an interesting one because there's so many lakes too. You can choose from. I think there's like almost 30 lakes or better on Pyramid that you can choose from. Like there's a ton of lakes there, and unlike Banner, they're all connected. So Banner, they're all interconnected, right? So you can go between most of the lakes, and then there's the 3 big ones, right? Versus Pyramid, there's no connections. They're all separate. So there's a 30-acre one here. There's a 60-acre one here. There's an 80-acre one. I think Super Lake's like 300 acres. So there's a lot of big fish lakes in there, but those big fish lakes typically don't fish as well. But if they are on, you can catch a lot of really big fish.
So would it be
and they're all small, so you have to move a lot if you want to find them.
That's what I was going to say. Would it be beneficial to bring a little throw-and-go paddle kayak and do a little pond hopping, so to say?
It could be, but they're strip pits. So if that wind kicks up on strip pits, it almost gets scary because it gets blowing about like it was on Otter. It gets blown down them cuts sometimes, and it gets ripping. Also, very clear water in most of them.
I think a lot of people are just going to waste their time and spend 3 or 4 hours in like a terrible lake since there's so many of them.
I'll be pre-fishing a lot, that's for sure. That's when I'm definitely going to be pre-fishing because I got to find some fish.
Yep, that sounds like the.
I got my little mud hole, so that's what it is.
How far is that from you, Dalton? Sounds like you fished a lot. How long? How far?
40.
40 minutes. Okay. All right. That's pretty close.
It's a true Southern Illinois lake.
Guys.
Or lakes.
Yeah, it's really Southern Illinois there. No doubt. Well, I tell you what, I want to congratulate all 3 of you. And I think this was kind of like a championship deal because it's like really, really tested everybody in the field. You just got to look at the numbers and the fish caught, and the number of people with 0, the number of people with less than 5, and you guys really stood out. I mean, this is a tournament that took a lot of mental fortitude to make through, because I know everybody, even Dalton, you went through periods where you were not able to catch things, got pretty frustrated. So
I was calm and collected.
yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. But you shown through, right? So you stayed on
Oh,
the
yeah.
water. It had been easy. I saw a lot of people that just went to the ramp early, and that's the true mark of a winner. You guys just kept going and never gave up, right? So thanks for taking time, sticking with us, not only through the podcast, but also just being an example of what it takes to make it happen on rough days. So anything else you guys want to add before we wrap things up?
Hope to see you after St. Chris tournament on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good one. All right, guys. Well,
I
thanks
hope so.
again for joining us for the podcast. Hang on remote while I go ahead and stop the recording.